of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question.
China and Cuba. We have Maduro in Venezuela. We've had Russian ships there, and the Panama Canal is critical to our national security. And at present, it is being run by the Chinese Communist Party. So it's a concern, absolutely.
Well, I wonder if you think with the new president in Panama, because he is seen as someone that is pro-Trump, he was asked about the Panama Canal, and so far his public statements are that is off the table. What he is willing to do is to deal with the Darien Gap, which of course is the biggest source of South American immigration, Central American immigration to the U.S.
Well, and Trump is a master at negotiation. Obviously, we want to control our southern border, and we want a fair pricing out of Panama Canal. Again, it's a shot across the bow. It was not on anyone's radar until President Trump tweeted it.
As usual, when Donald Trump petulantly says something incendiary and outright foolish, his allies in Congress and his party go to the normal excuse that he's either joking or he's negotiating, something he's failed at his entire life.
It is utterly preposterous to suggest that we are going to send our military into Panama to, quote, take back the Panama Canal. As I said, we have a treaty with Panama. We have a free trade agreement with Panama. We are no more going to take back the Panama Canal than Panama is going to come in and try to take the Mississippi River from us. There's been a drought in Panama, Kate, and so it has slowed passage of ships. But what Donald Trump is really trying to do here is try to get better fees for passage for his corporate and billionaire allies. That's what this boils down to.
Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz might be closer to some of the motivations the president-elect has in mind in threatening Panama. And in this age of cheers from a MAGA crowd over international aggression for the benefit of their leader that also claims to be anti-war somehow, focusing on him using our country to further his personal interests might be the better way to warn Americans of what he's up to.
We have to have rational, balanced diplomacy. And listen, the Belt and Road Initiative that China has engaged in is something that I have traveled the globe with my colleagues and met with military leaders. It is real. It is a real issue. But what we need to do is make sure that we strengthen our relationships with our allies and treaty partners like Panama, not make ridiculous carnival barker threats like buying Greenland, which isn't for sale and we're not going to acquire, and invading Panama to take back the canal.
He's already headed back to the office to toss out more slogans and red meat to his followers about which groups of people to hate so that he can pick their pockets. So even addressing his surface reasons for constant anger and aggression won't do Democrats any good. Going into deeper analysis and refuting his claims only leaves Americans yawning from the details, bouncing them right back to the football game that they think they're watching against the libs. If you follow the money and the ego, it's usually pretty straightforward with him.
He's probably got some pebble in his shoe about something that's happened in Panama that relates to his interests. That's usually what provokes one of these kind of out of left field tirades from Donald Trump. It's important for people to remember that this wasn't simply a gift put under a Christmas tree 45 years ago, that this is actually the relationship with Panama and the Panama Canal is governed by a Senate ratified treaty that exists that already lays out the relationship between the United States and Panama. And when Donald Trump says, well, we'll just take it back, just as in his first term, I think in his second term, we're going to be saying something, using a phrase that we used a lot during those last his first 4 years, which is things don't work that way. That's not how any of that works. So, he can say it and he can complain about it and he can get big cheers about it at conservative meetings. But that's not going to happen.
The Atlantic's Tom Nichols pointed out a possible pebble in Trump's shoe over Panama. And The Independent, though, may have identified it more as a rock. Before and throughout his first term in the White House, a high-profile Trump hotel project in the country was a seemingly unending source of scandal and financial problems, ranging from a partner's bankruptcy to money laundering allegations to long-running legal battles. In 2011, Trump and his business partners cut the ribbon on the Trump Ocean Club International Hotel and Tower, a 70-story, sail-shaped skyscraper that loomed large over Panama City and the Trump Organization itself. Trump Capital didn't go towards building the development itself, but the tower used the Trump name for branding, and companies controlled by the Trump Organization would manage the property, which contained a casino, hotel rooms, and condos. Subsequent investigations from news outlets alleged that one of the main brokers who sold units in the tower, Alexandra Ventura Noguera, met repeatedly with Ivanka Trump while working on the project and did business with organized crime figures who may have used the properties for money laundering, earning the tower the nickname Narco Alago, a play on Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. At one point, as Ocean Club condo owners objected to the Trump team's management practices and sought to fire the company, accusing them of overspending and taking excessive bonuses, Trump responded by suing, demanding $75 million for wrongful termination. The complaints also accused the Trump companies of mismanaging the tower and letting it fall into disrepair, as wings of the skyscraper sat, quote, virtually empty. At the time, the Trump Organization said the fight had, quote, nothing to do with the President of the United States. In a 2018 suit filed in New York federal court and amended multiple times since, Fenticles and his company, Ithaca Capital Partners, accused Trump companies managing the Panama Tower of intentionally evading taxes related to their role overseeing the development, allegedly saddling the new owners with millions in liability when an alleged 2018 audit uncovered the shortfall. Later filings accused the Trump managers of understating employee salaries to reduce potential Social Security tax payments and painting the building's finances in a false light before Fenticles was brought in, which the company denied and called completely false. So just like everything else in this failed businessman's life, it's all an attempt to avoid consequences for his actions and huge losses of money. But as long as he's got suckers willing to worship him, he can just use them to move on to the next con.
Panama. That's right.